So we're on the last 2 days. And today I wanted to talk about two things. One is resistance, and the other, I don't know why my brain just went, you don't have that word anymore. I don't know. So we're just going to play with resistance. It wasn't far off of resistance, but it was a different word. So we'll see if that works. I read your post to Teresa about last night, or like getting up when your body said, and how productive you've been, right? So
yeah,
using some of the resistance to push against, like not push against as like, I'm not going to do that, but like a swimmer does. Like a swimmer, like when they're in the water and they turn around, they use the wall to gain more momentum. And so how can we use some of the things that are coming up in our lives that we think are resistance, but actually use them to catapult us forward? And so just looking at that, like what choices are coming available, because the Muse method generally, as we come up in our lives, right, more choice becomes available. So I guess I just wanted to say that piece. The other part that I want to ask you guys is, why is it actually important for you to fill yourself up in your body and in your space in your life? And I don't mean like in theory, like why is that important? And you may look at, like, in your mind's eye, like, when did I feel a little bit more me, and like how was life at that point? Or just tell me what you think.
I guess that's the purpose. That's our journey. Like, why would we want to just go through the motions and not live life to the fullest?
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes just all the responsibilities and everything that we have in life kind of just dampers us to, like, I think you had said one time, I think we were talking about children and what this generation is doing, and what are they doing maybe that I wish I could do? And so I've really been approaching things that way. And I was like, yeah, when I was younger, and it was just like everything was so free and you could just do whatever, and you didn't have to like think about all the choices and everything and all the people you're affecting. Like when you just lived, it was so different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I agree. Mm-hmm. What else is coming up for the other two? Teresa, Wendy.
I think for me, I need to feel connected to myself, and otherwise I feel like I don't even know how to say it, almost like I'm operating on a different plane. If I'm not in me, then I'm just kind of an automatic pilot, just doing stuff, and it's very, I don't want to say empty, it's not that dramatic, but it's like there's not a lot of substance there. Whereas when I am connected and I'm filled with myself, I feel like no matter what I'm doing, I'm connected, I'm part of it. It's that connection to me that I think almost gives meaning to whatever it is that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. And so I love that, like, you're connected to me, you're part of it, because that goes back to like being the center, like being that campfire in the center rather than like first, because first is like exclusive, right? It's like I'm first, I go alone, and then you go. Whereas the whole idea of center, you can be alone and be all like centered, and you're part of just the aloneness, or activities can fuel you, right? And so it can be things where you're putting yourself in the center with other people, or even jobs, right? It's like it doesn't become like self-care first or this first, because it's like, oh, how do I make everything? Yeah. So
Right.
I love that. And the word that too that came up when you were talking is like, it's a more fulfilling life.
Right. And it's not, and I guess I'm reiterating what you said, it's not about me at all, but having that connection, then I feel like I'm just more fully present in whatever it is I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that reiteration, because when we're centered and when we have us, we don't need to like be all about us all the time. There isn't that, like, you know, when people say, oh, you're so full of yourself, that's people who are going, me, 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 me. Please fill me up. Please fill me up. Please fill me up, because I'm not. Right. And so when you are, even if you're not all the way, I mean, I don't know that I'm ever 100%, but I can feel when I'm, you know, up into here, like there's a different way that I interact. Right. Did you want to say something too, Wendy?
I don't know. I'm not sure that what's going through my head is even really on track with what you're talking about. But I know, like, but yesterday it's like I just felt like I kept trying to do things, like do tasks, do busy work, because if I wasn't being busy, I had to be with me. And I just was not feeling it yesterday. So I was just like, okay, let's just keep. Yeah, I felt kind of like, what's the, just keep swimming, just keep
Oh
swimming.
yeah, Dory.
Yeah, I just feel like I got to keep moving, because that's all I can do right now.
Yeah. You know, and so that's really beautiful awareness. And if we don't, like, there's nothing wrong with realizing, gosh, I do things in order to not be and feel, because it's monumental, right? And when we put ourselves inside of a pressure cooker and it's gone down to there, it is monumental to come out. Like if you think of somebody who's been left in a room in a house, like, you know, you've gone to visit a house and you got stuck in the room and you've been banging and screaming for so long for somebody to come, of course there's a breakdown when somebody finally comes, you know, and there may need to be a pause that just goes, I just need busy work, you know, I just need, you know, my grandma used to crochet, like there's something to the stuff. And so even in that, if you can go, I'm listening to myself, this is a self-nurturing, so that slowly I can nurture myself, like I can allow myself out. Because otherwise we use it as a distraction to go, I'm not hearing you, I'm putting plaster over the walls. So you're going to stay in that damn room because I can't deal with you. Right? I can't deal with what you have to say. I can't deal with what you want to do, what you want out of this life. It doesn't work for me being useful. It doesn't work for everybody else. And here's a beautiful question that I try to give everyone, and I use it all the time. How can this bless everyone involved? How can the things that I desire at the deepest core of my being bless everyone involved? Right? And you don't wait to find out here. You just begin to start taking tiny little choices towards what nurtures you. And then you watch how the universe goes, I got you. I'm going to bless everybody. This isn't going to be a me versus them. This is going to be a we. Okay. Linda, I know you're not on camera, but I don't know if you wanted to share.
Here I am. I'm at the office. I think I'm finally now getting the hang of what we're doing. You know, making myself, hold on a second, making myself, taking care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, and filling that space in here that makes me whole. I had actually a company luncheon yesterday with people that do the same job that I do. I'd never met them. I had a ball. I felt so good doing it. I felt like a part of. I got a couple of compliments, which totally blew me away. And it was so relaxing for me. There were certain people that I have felt that were negative toward me, or that had negative energy that weren't there. And it was so good to see that difference. It sort of affirms to me that I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that I'm not nuts, that all of that I soak in so much from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I slept really well last night, except my dog woke me up twice. But yeah, ooh, just so like listening to you, just those little things, and that's what I need to work on. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I mentioned right before you got on the call is like, why is it important for you to be the fullness of yourself? So you gave a really great example of like, you went in with more of yourself and it changed the experience. And so you can even play with, how does it change the experience when you're around other people who have a different opinion of you, right? Or who have a different opinion of like how they go through life. And I loved the words that you said, you absorbed them, right? And so what if instead of absorbing them, you can just start non-judgmentally observing, just going, okay, so this is how they function. This is what their opinion is, right? It's like, you know, somebody can hate how I look, they can hate how I do this, like how I facilitate things isn't for everyone. And somebody could go, oh, that's awful, I don't want to be in her space. Okay, I'm pretty neutral with that. And in fact, I love that. Like, please go to somebody who speaks your language, speaks in the way that nurtures you. Don't hang with me. Not from a like, don't hang with me, F you, but really go somewhere that is good for you. Thank you for realizing I'm not your girl. Right?
Yes.
And so it's okay for others. We do it. I mean, the world is all like, oh my gosh, people are so negative and judgmental. We all judge. Okay, let's just get real with ourselves. We all judge. Okay, it's how you hold on to that judgment. Awareness is actually a judgment. Is this for me? Is this not? When you keep it in so long and you either use it against someone or against yourself, it's when it becomes a crunchy judgment.
Right.
We just need to find what serves, what doesn't. Like, I don't like that. Somebody else like that. Okay, cool. Right?
Right.
And so how can you become that whole screen door where you just go, cool, they don't like how I do things. Rock on. Okay. I'm still gonna stoke my own fire. I'm still gonna be the campfire for whoever wants to hang around my campfire. Right? All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we go into the Muse method?
I wanted to say one thing on the center versus like first. It was funny because I actually came up with it last night, that it almost makes you think like you can have it all. Like it's not a choice where do I have to put myself first in front of everything else? No, I can put me here and have everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also like, so before we go into the Muse method, like that whole list of like priorities, right? Because, you know, you'll go into especially business groups and people are like, you're going to prioritize what matters to you. And so if I wrote down my list of things that matter to me, I'd have a really hard time like figuring out what's first, because like my kids, ooh, Joe, oh, dinner, oh, the dog, oh, right. Like all these things are first. And so you can just feel like you're tripping over yourself. Like, I'm exhausted, like doing all the firsts. And then somebody else comes in and they're like, but this should be first because your health should be first. And like working out should be first. This should be first. And it's like, oh my God, all these firsts, like my entire list isn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's first everything. I have to give everything my all. Well, if we start to put ourselves in the middle of things, like it's around us. It's all around us. And it's like, okay, so there is a little bit of a first, like, how do I connect? How do I connect to me in all things? And, you know, I always bring up the mundane. How do you connect to yourself doing dishes? How do you connect to yourself driving somewhere? How do you connect to yourself in that conversation? So that everything is an outpouring. You know, everything is warmed up by the fire that is you. And sometimes you might feel like, you know what, I'm gonna sit right here and absorb your fire because your fire is pretty like it's bigger. So it doesn't mean like you're the only campfire. Other people can be fires that you're receiving from. And I think it just takes that perspective and it becomes like this space of like breathing, right? Like, oh wow, you have something to give. I'm receiving that. Like, because if you're really connecting to self, you can't help but notice that other people are giving as well. So I'm gonna stop my talk about giving and receiving because it's probably my biggest hot box conversation.
Guys, throw one little thing out here. It's
Mhm.
just is something you said kind of reminded me. I donate platelets pretty regularly, and so they've got a sign up in the blood bank, and it says something like to the effect of "Give 100% in everything you do, except donating blood." Don't give 100% of your blood. That would be bad.
Right. Well, and the thing is like we don't think about it, but when we're doing other things, we're giving our life force, right? It is our blood. It is that energetic fluid. So even in those things, we can't give 100%.
No.
We can't. Can we show up? Yeah, show up. Even if we show up 1% more, it has an effect, right? Like, what if we just showed up instead of being used up?
Absolutely.
We're taught in this society to be useful, and then most of us are used up. What if we showed up to be present, right? So, all right, let's do the Muse method. You guys get to choose where you put your hands. Let me find my alarm. And then we're gonna close our eyes and breathe. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. My question for you today is, as you move throughout your day, what does your body, what does your muse need? What does it need? Are you willing to ask? And then are you willing to support? Like, are you willing to do it? Right? Whatever it is, whether it's to lay in bed, whether it's to go out and move. And it may be a trickle, right? Like it may be a one thing and then another thing and another thing and another thing. And can you delight instead of going, oh my gosh, you want so much? Like, what can you do to like add? Sometimes like it's little twigs, right? That we're putting on the fire, and other times it's big logs. And so are you willing to just ask what it needs? It may be oxygen from another person. It may be another person's fire that you need to sit next to. Just begin to ask what you need in order to fuel that fire within throughout your day, what actions you can start to take to do that. Okay. All right. I'll see you for our last day tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks for showing up, ladies.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks.